Well, what's up gamers? Welcome back to your semi-weekly slop eating meeting. In this episode, we'll be going over a totally very good, not bad at all video by SunnyV2. And you know what, King? I respect your time, so we're just gonna jump straight into this. The video's titled, Why Chris Will Soon Be a Huge Problem for MrBeast. Ugh, you know when your friend makes a life-changing decision regarding something that they will never be able to change, and for some reason it's your problem? Like, my man's just out here immediately insinuating that Chris is a problem that needs to be solved. Like, what? Now, thankfully, a lot of people seem to have noticed that this is a bit of an off-putting statement, so just bear that in mind as we go into the video. Anyway, let's get started.
The Chris Tyson situation could become a complete disaster for MrBeast brand. However, it may also provide some unique benefits.
Nice little disclaimer you got yourself there. So you might be thinking, hey, now Crunch, you're being a bit aggressive here, but you're very quickly going to realize that this is obviously just a disclaimer so that if anyone points out this video for being obviously bullshit, he has something to run to for defense.
In mid-2022, fans began to notice that Chris Tyson was changing.
Nice little sound you got there. Oh my god. Someone's trans. Okay, for the next 30 seconds, he just goes on about how Chris's appearance has changed over the last few months since the pandemic. I'll move on to the next point.
Additionally, Chris would highlight that his facial appearance had changed significantly since the start of the pandemic, which accompanied another post reading, okay, so in 4 different customs, I had to prove I was myself because I, quote, look nothing like my passport pic, so much that I'm considering updating my passport. Do you see any resemblance? Prompting replies such as, you went from man to boy. Chris responded by stating, nah, to be honest, I just really started taking my mental health seriously and eating better, yet his Twitter photos kept insinuating that Chris was becoming more feminine.
Look, I really don't want to sound like one of those woke scolds or whatever they're called, but the framing of this video is, put lightly, pretty terrible. Well, shit, guys. I guess Chris can't take care of his mental health whilst also looking more feminine.
For example, on the 6th of January 2023, Beast Reacts uploaded a video titled I Strapped a GoPro to a Fish, in which Chris dressed in a way that prompted comments such as, Chris has been adopting more and more traits that remind me of my grandmother. Response to the video then prompted countless viral TikToks, such as this one with 700,000 likes, stating, how did Chris go from this to this? While others even made the claim that Carl had turned him gay.
Now, this was pretty ridiculous as Carl isn't even that feminine, and Chris had come out as bisexual years before he and Carl had even met. The true catalyst for Chris Tyson's feminization instead seemed to have come from his marriage.
Okay, so this is where this shit starts going a bit buck wild. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure catalysts means the trigger for something, so I don't really know how his marriage was the trigger for him being trans.
In January 2022, Chris would post a photo with his wife to his Instagram, yet after this, the family photo stopped altogether. Fans also noticed that he'd removed his wedding ring, with the ring's absence correlating perfectly with the very first post in which he'd painted his nails.
Do I need to explain why this is really bizarre? I think I will. It is really intrusive and creepy that people looked into Chris's Instagram like this, wrote entire narratives in their head about what was going on, and SunnyV2 is now being complicit in this with the presumed goal at the time to crack Chris and get him to tell them what was going on. Just watch on, it gets even worse.
As the criticism continued to pile, Chris announced that he'd be taking a break from social media, and while there was a possibility that Chris would make efforts to return to his former self, he'd rather do the opposite and double down on his feminine image, showing up to the Kids' Choice Awards looking like this, before making the announcement that he'd been doing HRT for approximately 2 months, which according to a quick Google search is the medical process for changing genders.
This man is acting the same way that I did when Thomas the Tank Engine went from being stop motion to CGI. I mean, I guess it's not illegal, but it's just kind of pathetic.
His co-workers expressed positivity, others weren't so welcoming. There goes a father figure the kid won't ever be able to look up to. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Weak man times.
Look, I'll just repeat what I said in my last videos. It doesn't matter whether you're a masculine parent or a feminine parent. Just be a decent person. This whole, oh, you need a man or you need a woman attitude is really terrible. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Dude, I swear, half the runtime of this video is just reading off tweets.
Chris's response received some positivity such as, I'm convinced you're an amazing father. Tucker is lucky to have you and also lucky to have all of those who surround and support you in his life, yet he'd also receive an equal amount of backlash. You ripped apart your family and took a father figure away from your son just so you could paint your nails and act zesty. Pathetic.
Yeah, dude, because it was totally Chris's choice to be trans. Now you might be wondering, Crunch, why are you including these and why are you acting like they're SunnyV2's opinion or doing? And my answer to that is because SunnyV2 is acting like these are equal contributions to the conversation. These aren't actual arguments against what Chris is doing, they're an emotional virtue signal. Like, I think regardless of political opinion, we can all agree that these tweets are utter bullshit.
Though Chris wasn't altered by these comments, as he'd once again reiterate his certainty in a new post reading, "It's never too late to start being yourself," which received praise from MrBeast as well as Nolan and Carl. However, these comments also added extra fuel to the fire. In a few years, look back at this thread and remember they were never your friends. Only yes men cowards. Hope you come out of this safe.
Yeah, because remember guys, Jimmy's the real victim in this situation.
However, the situation has already begun to change the dynamic within the videos. For example, in a recent livestream titled "Opening 1,000 Mystery Art Boxes," Chris would once again dress in quite a feminine way, and while everybody participated as usual, the energy and vibe didn't feel nearly as smooth as it normally does. It felt as though there was an unaddressed elephant in the room, and therefore everybody was in their head, as opposed to being in the present moment enjoying each other's company.
Now, I ain't no MrBeast livestream connoisseur. In fact, this is the first one that I've watched, but I watched through like 10 minutes of it. It's fine. It's just a bunch of guys enjoying each other's company. I don't really know what SunnyV2 is trying to get at here.
Maybe everybody was simply too busy opening packages, but Chris did make these bizarre jokes about Jimmy being female, making him incredibly uncomfortable.
Oh my God, Jimmy, look, they drew you. Jimmy, they drew you so well. It looks just like you.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, it's Jimmy.
How did fan art? This is what we were looking for. Be brave, be honest, be kind, MrBeast. That is my tagline.
I might give him that last one that he tries to divert attention from the poster, but that was probably because he wanted to avoid a shitstorm on Twitter. And he's hardly extremely uncomfortable in the first instance. Like, isn't the whole MrBeast thing that he's a bit awkward and a bit uncomfortable a lot of the time?
Becoming even weirder when each member started to pay each other compliments.
Hey, nice shirt. Thanks, dude. Nice shirt.
Hey, nice shirt.
Thanks, dude. Nice shirt.
Thanks. Nice shirt.
Nice shoes.
You serious?
Dude, there is literally nothing out of the ordinary there. That was fine. It was just an off joke. This is one of the most bizarre parasocial reaches I've ever seen.
Chris likely believes that people will slowly adapt to his new appearance over time, but is this really going to happen?
Yes!
Well, maybe. It's difficult to say as the situation is fairly unique, especially when considering Chris's reputation and influence. However, if Chris continues to transition, would it be unreasonable to say that he could jeopardize some of the personality traits which made him a successful member in the first place?
Does this guy know that HRT doesn't completely override your personality? They'll just wear makeup and be better at making sandwiches now.
Perhaps the opposite will happen, and he'll instead pick up new personality traits that better resonate with the current MrBeast audience. This was put forward in many comments supportive of Chris, who implied that there'll be millions of queer kids who look up to him, although this doesn't necessarily mean that it'll add any value to the videos.
It sure as hell will add that cha-ching value to those videos. This is gonna make MrBeast's videos really appealing to a rapidly emerging market, which is the LGBT community.
MrBeast has likely cultivated a massive LGBT audience, all of whom are already watching anyway, and if we've learned anything from Hollywood in recent years, it's that adding over-the-top LGBT characters for the sake of relatability rarely works as intended, and is often nothing more than a distraction from the premise of the movie or video.
Oh my god, dude, have you seen Disney's profit margin? Anyone who still believes in that go woke, go broke bullshit really needs to kick some fucking rocks.
Although, as we have seen, a situation like Chris's does have the potential to create an otherworldly amount of discussion, which could be seen as a benefit for the MrBeast brand.
Dude, I was just about to give this guy credit for, like, you know, discussing the civil rights progress that this could invoke, but no, it was just about expanding the brand. Now, I have no doubt that MrBeast's team has gone through and have decided that optically this is the best time to allow Chris to come out, and yes, this is exactly why they've done it. It has kicked up a massive amount of media attention towards MrBeast, and the discussion online has only done wonders for his image, because these anti-trans retards are actually a tiny portion of the market, considering the amount of airtime they get online. It's a bit dystopian, it's a bit corporate, but hey, it's better than nothing, and Chris probably feels a hell of a lot better now.
The problem is this type of situation is probably the last thing that MrBeast wants to attract, as he's forced to agree with Chris's position.
I'm just gonna leave this tweet thread up here on its own for a minute. I think MrBeast put it perfectly. Like, imagine getting called out by MrBeast. This guy should be hanging his head in fucking shame, dude.
It's a lose-lose situation for MrBeast. I think Jimmy is in an inescapable situation. If he kicks out Chris, cancelled. If he don't, his channel will die for real.
This complements what I said earlier perfectly. If MrBeast does what I agree with, he'll just get cancelled. But if he does what I don't agree with, his channel will die. It's a pathetic virtue signal from a pathetic anti-SJW, you know, whatever the fuck they're called these days.
An inescapable situation is a pretty good way of describing the drama, which is also why it deserves the harsh label of being a nightmare. Jimmy has no option but to publicly express acceptance of Chris's transition, as silence or even worse, disapproval would come with obvious severe repercussions.
I love how he insinuates that these repercussions wouldn't be warranted. Like, if he rejects his mate's identity and how his friend wants to express themselves, then fuck yeah, he should get caned.
However, in accepting Chris's transition, Jimmy implies that this will be the new normal within the content, thus annoying a different group of people, many of whom will never express their true feelings and may rather simply click on fewer MrBeast videos.
Yeah, a group of people that are really small and that nobody frankly gives a shit about anyway.
The only clean solution, should things go south, might be for Chris to resign himself, and even then rumors and bad press will be unavoidable.
Is that really the only way to deal with this situation, Sunny? Or is that just how you want to deal with the situation?
Whether it be arrogance or ignorance, Chris seems oblivious to how this whole thing might impact Jimmy, forgetting that he achieved his current level of success by avoiding this exact type of drama.
Oh, I'm sorry that Chris decided to take care of his mental health before he thought about Jimmy and the business that he was a part of. Just such a smarmy, gross conclusion to reach when you're looking at this situation. Tells you a lot about Sunny. Anyway, I hope you guys had as much fun, or, you know, fun in air quotes, as I did when we were going through this video. I'll see you in the next one, probably a much lighter topic than this one. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I hope you have a great day. See you later, guys.
You're calling to say hi, but your words, they cry. If there's something that you need to say, I know it ain't easy living inside your brain, for sure.